Hello and welcome everybody. We're gonna have some fun today, telling a couple of spooky cybersecurity horror stories. Um, I'm TJ Scott. I'm the general manager at Tech Eagles, and I have a friend here with me today and colleague.
Yep, Peter Meredith. I'm the business development officer here at Tech Eagles, and we're glad y'all are joining us here live on this Halloween.
I really thought about screaming really loud as soon as the countdown ended, but I don't want to hurt anybody's eardrums or anything like that. So, anyhow, just to set some expectations today, we're going to go through some stories that I have collected over the past little bit of some spookiness that involves IT also. So, won't be very long or anything like that. So, before we do that, we got to kind of set the scene and the mood. You can't tell stories just by looking at my mug all day. That's not going to be too fun. So we're going to be around a campfire here. I'm going to be roasting some marshmallows. Peter's going to be playing the music that you hear in the background. So we'll get some little bit better lighting in the room here with the campfire going on for us. So get some spooky, scary face stuff going on here. So Peter, I know a lot of people really love Halloween, but there's also some dark past to it as well, and especially little small towns and stuff like that that go on. So, have you ever heard of Willow Creek?
I have not. You must
Good.
tell me about it.
It's a made up fake place, as any of these stories that we tell that have any similarities to anything do not exist. So, just want to get that out there. Our Law and Order, da dun da, it's all fictional, but based on a figment of truth. So, anyhow, I want to tell you a story about a place called Willow Creek. So, Willow Creek was, a smaller town, kind of like where I grew up. It'd be similar to a very small Virginia countryside town. A lot of people, but still small, like packed into a dense area. Um, Good mixture of the population. But to get this scene setted for it, we're going to talk about Sally. And Sally works for a small business, but she also has a lot of friends, and they meet all the time for breakfast all the time and share information. Um, they love all their technology and iPads and everything like that. But one day during their meeting, Miss Sally was sharing that mysteriously overnight she heard a bunch of weird random noises, and then she logged into her banking account and all her money and her savings was gone. So, of course, she called the police, started the investigation and everything. They didn't know what was going on, but they said they were going to look into it. So Sally was distraught. Well, a couple days later, they meet for breakfast again. And of course, someone's buying Sally's because she doesn't have any money anymore. It all went away. Poof. Someone else reported the same thing: weird noises in their house, a lot of creaky doors. Money went missing the next day. Nothing in the bank account. So, town sheriff starts looking into it. His name's going to be Jack for these purposes. Don't want to give his real identity. So Jack starts asking around, and he finds out that there's other people. A lot of people at the local church, money missing. Some of the local businesses, money missing. And no one can figure out what's going on. So, they get together, they pray, they start looking. Nothing. No money anywhere. Well, during all this, of course, the town's still growing, even though they're starting to lose money. Jack had hired his nephew. We're going to call his name Bob for now. Once again, don't want you to know who he is. And Bob's a little bit of a tech savvy person. So he starts looking on the tech side of things. Maybe someone had some security cameras or something that caught anything on out on the Ring doorbell or anything like that. Well, while he's over at Sally's house, the first place, you know, he's talking to Sally and, just happens to ask her, can you show me your computer and where you normally look at your banking and all of that and stuff? Well, when he gets to her computer, he knows her computer screen is up on her email. And wouldn't you know it, a bunch of those emails from that prince over in overseas or wherever asking for donations of money and everything. And he asked Sally, he's like, Sally, you didn't click on any of these, did you? She's like, no, I know better than that. Well, so he started to roll out an email scam. Wasn't an email scam. Or was it? After a little bit more talking, Sally had shared a link with a lot of her breakfast people about donating to this charitable cause that she heard about from a friend. And her friend just happened to find it on one of the good social media links. Someone was taking advantage of these poor townsfolk's good, earnest hearts, thinking they were donating to a charitable cause of someone who was needing some help with some medical expenses. Well, all they were doing was lining the pockets of some scammer overseas. Nothing scary about it except that people try to scam each other all the time. So, not super spooky or anything like that, but it does bring to light a good question, Peter. Do you know of any way that both businesses and regular people could protect themselves from something? Because I'll admit, if a friend of mine says, hey, I know this person who needs help with some medical expenses, we're doing a GoFundMe or something like that, I'm probably going to give. So, how do you think this situation could have been avoided?
Well, I must say, lots of training, there are security tools that can check and see where links are taking you and verify that you're actually going to the right place and you're actually donating to GoFundMe and not to some scammer's GoFundMe lookalike.
Yep, absolutely. So, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could give to everybody, and this goes for both business and personal use only, anytime you're interacting with something, especially if there's money involved, never click on a link from an email unless you personally just requested it. If you were on the website and you click a button that says, hey, we're going to send you an email to verify some information, it's safe. But let's say even like GoFundMe, very trusted website, but it's also one of the number one spoofed sites for people to get scammed because people try to pull on those heartstrings. Go to GoFundMe yourself. Go to GoFundMe.com. Literally type it in and search up the information for the person that you're trying to donate to and find it that way. It's just a good habit to go into. You get an email about, hey, your Amazon account password is expired and you need to reset it. Click here. Do not click here. Go to Amazon.com. Go through the
Yep.
password reset there. So, all right. So, very corny story. I love it. Honestly, the sad part about this is it's very true. There's a lot of people getting scammed all the time, especially in the people who did not grow up around technology and want to have a good heart around stuff like that. So, that one's a little personal. I know some people recently that got scammed, and that's kind of embarrassing, me being tech person and stuff. But everybody gets in the situations where they don't want to bother the tech person of their family, but they want to still get out and do things on their own, and mistakes will be made sometimes. So, unfortunately, it is sad, but it happens. So, there's this big fight among me and some of my friends, Peter, that some people think that alien stories should be included in Halloween and other ones do not. So where do you fall?
Hmm. I think aliens could be in Halloween. I think
Yeah.
we could hear a good alien story right about now.
Yeah, I think so too. So me personally, I'm a huge anime nerd as well. Some of the people are out there. I know some of the people on the team are as well. So there's the manga's been around for a while, but a new anime called Dandadan explores that same kind of story. It's paranormal versus aliens, and do they coexist or are they related? So anyhow, with that being said, we are going to go to unnamed business. And this one's fun because I like this business. They actually have an IT team, but they also have an IT MSP, which would be kind of like us. So just throwing that out there that we don't only do just sole IT for companies, but if you have an IT company for your business and you need help, we actually help supplement that with some higher cybersecurity things or other help. So anyhow, just wanted to explain that. So while you might be confused that you hear about two different teams on this one when we get to it. So one day there was a quiet hum of servers in the IT department when suddenly old Frank, who's sitting down working at his computer, hears a horrible scream. So he runs over to check onto the secretary who had just screamed. And there's all this green lines and craziness going on her screen. Kind of looks like the Matrix going on. Well, of course, Frank, being an IT guy and probably a little upset at this, what did you do? What did you do to your computer? Next thing he knows, he hears another scream. Another computer, the same thing. and then another. Before Frank knows it, every computer screen in the whole business, bunch of green lines, doesn't know what's going on. A message shows up on the screen. We have your data. So Frank's thinking, what had happened? Who clicked on the wrong thing? Next thing you know, Frank goes to try to restart the server, all the lights go out as well. But somehow the computer screens stay on. I know if I walked into that situation, Peter, at one of our clients, I'd probably turn around and walk right back out. Be a little scary.
It'd be a wild ride.
You know, lights going off, computers flashing on. So next thing we know, Jake, he's a newer guy back in the back. He's in the corner, in the fetal position, just rocking back and forth, scared to death. Because he says he knows the symbols. These are the same symbols that show up in all of the big field paintings. Or not field paintings. Crop markings. There we go. Lord, I can't even think about it. It's going to be one of those days, people. So crop markings showing up all over the screens and everything like that. So they keep at it and try to figure out what's going on. So then they get a phone call. And the phone call says, we have your data. We have your data. So, of course, the question's asked, how do we get it back? How do we keep our IT back? Or how do we get our data back? Peter, do you know how they're going to get their data back?
Well,
what these alien demands are?
Sounds like they might need some help.
They do need some help, but the aliens have a simple solution.
Just give them some alien money.
Nope.
No?
These aliens have friends on Earth that they're working with that needed some help is what's going on here. So old Frank, he hears the words he never thought he would hear out of these aliens. You need to stay in that contract. What contract, you might be saying? Well, let's rewind time to just last week. Frank and some of the people at the business were unhappy with their outside IT company. So they decided they were going to switch to a new company. Well, their outside IT company wasn't too happy with this, so they decided to hold all this data for ransom. Da-da-da-da. Long story short, they don't pay it. They get a good company to come help them out. They get all their data back, and that's how it happens. So,
wow.
Couple of interesting things about this story, though. I'm sure, Peter, you were thinking when you first started the story that this sounds a lot like ransomware, doesn't it?
It sure does. And we see a lot of those cases where people call us with ransomware.
Right. So typically ransomware, what happens is you click on a bad link like in the previous story, or you're visiting a website you shouldn't be visiting. And the next thing you know, you get a message on your screen, call blah, blah, blah number to fix this or whatever. But while that's going on in the background, all your important data and everything is being encrypted in the background. And they literally lock it down and will not unlock it, possibly ever, unless you give them a payment of gift cards or some kind of cryptocurrency. So I wanted this story to show out people do this in real life too. They will hold stuff ransom. Now I'm not talking bad on how any business does, how any other IT business does their stuff. But the moral of the story is know who you're getting into business with. So there are some bad actors and stuff out there that will do things to you if they're upset. And most of the time, some of the larger hacks that happen for small businesses outside of email usually come from inside actors, a disgruntled employee, a disgruntled contractor. Sometimes an actual client or customer may be upset at you and they'll contact some dark web sources or anything like that. So,
just think about how much power your IT company has. If they go rogue, your whole business could be gone.
Right. So you may be thinking, hey, that's a dangerous thing to talk about. You're an IT company. You're right. We are. So just to explain a little bit about Tech Eagles, if you don't know who we are or haven't interacted with us a whole lot, we do not have any long-term contracts whatsoever. We want to earn your business month to month. Your data is yours. You want it, we'll send it to you at the request. So, That's how we want to operate and do business, things like that. We do have some vendors that sometimes require up to 60 days notice before we can turn those particular things off. But, we're never going to lock you into anything like a year-long contract or anything like that. So, you know who you're doing business with. Don't always go with the cheapest, because I'll tell you up front, we're not the cheapest on every front. Um, but we're going to treat you right and hopefully have a good business partnership with you. So Peter, are you scared yet?
I'm scared.
He's
The
lying.
cyber world's a dark,
It's a dark,
well,
dark
it's
place.
a dark place, but I
All
see
right.
it every day.
So this last one I wrote down. So I'm just going to read it word for word. I want to make sure I get all the details right on this one, because this one is a little bit spookier, I do believe. Um, so we're just going to go along with it. This one's called The Unnatural Fire. And notice we are around fire. So here we go. The office was an old and imposing building, rumored to have a dark past. Whispers of strange occurrences and unexplained events had circulated for years. Employees often spoke of cold spots, flickering lights, and the eerie sensation of being watched. But most of the times, these were just stories dismissed as the product of overactive imaginations. So one night, everybody's working late. It's on a stormy night, and a sudden power surge plunges the office into darkness. People are trying to get the backup generators going as they're working on a very large project that's due in a couple of days. While that's going on, there's a weird sound. And then suddenly there's a strange, acrid smell that started filling the air. Everybody starts looking around. Still don't have many lights at this point. Then they start seeing smoke. There's a fire that's broke out inside the building. They start hearing screeches as everybody starts running out. One of the guys tries to grab a computer to run out. He trips over it, breaks. The fire starts spreading. So when they get outside, of course, the fire department shows up. Server room, complete and total loss. All the company's data completely gone. So they start talking about how could this have happened. One guy's like, there was a dark spirit. I saw it. It started the fire on the server. Another guy's like, I saw ghosts. It all happened. So they call their insurance company and try to file a claim. We're going to see how ghost stories go with them on doing that. During the investigation, it's found out what had really happened is one of the new interns' cell phone was dead. So he decided to light a candle and he set it down on a stack of papers next to the server room. The server room went up in flames and everything went away. Total loss of the server. But you got to be saying, shouldn't hurt the business too bad, right? They had
Yeah, they've
everything in a
got insurance
backup.
and
They've got insurance and they've got backups and things are on the cloud, right? Nope, not this. Oh, John, the owner of this business, did not want to pay for backups. That server had never failed him and never would. Well, fast forward a month or two later, that business no longer exists. They lost their contract with the new client. They lost years upon years of client data, and it all went away because they didn't want to pay a small monthly fee for backups.
wow.
Unfortunately, this is a story we hear all the time. Um, whether it's through a ghost fire being set, unfortunate things like what happened recently with all the hurricanes throughout, the southeast. Um, we are based in Tennessee, and we also have a office in Florida. Florida got hit a few years back really, really hard. A lot of businesses went through the same thing. They lost a lot of important data because they didn't have backups or anything of that. Um, Here in Tennessee and North Carolina, I don't believe we have had a whole lot of calls about businesses themselves who have lost a lot of data. But unfortunately, that extends to personal life too. So there are a lot of people who have a lot of precious pictures and documents that they've saved over the year that they just save on their computers, but they don't back them up anyhow. So um, I know for me,
No.
like one of my biggest ones that, I learned my lesson on, and luckily I got it fixed, is I thought I had backups, but I never did check them very well. And I lost almost all of my son's first 2 years pictures that I took of him for a while. Luckily, I was able to get them back because I actually went crazy route of trying to reconstruct the hard drive and getting stuff back out of it from a computer that went kaput. Um, but that's something a lot of people don't think about. That's very important. A lot of people anymore trust a lot of the marketing from the two big name brand phone makers that I won't mention here that have their own backup products, but a lot of the times they'll end up getting a notification about space being low and they just ignore it and think everything's okay. But come to find out, when phone got thrown in the washer, nothing had backed up for like 8 months. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something too. If you have backups, one of the most important things to do is check and make sure that they're working. Do a test, restore, and see how often you fail, because not only is it important to have a backup plan in place, it actually has to work. And it's very common that it is not backed up correctly. So even if you have a plan, it could be months of data that's lost, even if you have something to restore to.
yeah, that's correct. And also there's the importance of redundancy, not to just trust one. And a lot of people's like, why would I have two backups? So for business senses, you want to have a backup that is local. So something that's actually in your office, a physical machine that we're backing your data up to, and as well as cloud. And the reason for that is that local is going to be a lot faster if something smaller happens that we can restore from, or but like that. Um, but the cloud one falls into that disaster recovery thing. If you have to be HIPAA or CMMC compliant or anything like that, then you know all about having to have a disaster recovery plan, and backups are one of the big questions on there. So, big thing. So, why am I talking about backups? Well, that's the moral of the story for today for a lot of this stuff. Um, a lot of these situations, all three in some form or fashion, besides the money getting stolen, could have been solved by having good backups and having people in place. Rogue IT company takes all your data, holds it hostage, but you have control of your backups. Okay, bye. See you later. Restore your backup. You're good to go. Fire breaks out. Restore your backup. It's good to go. So, um, two quick things to go along with that, because it wouldn't be us if it wasn't us, and we got to tell everybody. So, for any of our clients that are watching or will watch this, and you're not sure about your backup status, of course, call us. If you don't have backups going, get on the phone with us. So, what we're doing right now for the next 20 days from the day this airs, so right before Thanksgiving, call and get us a project set up to get all your backups running. We're not going to have any setup fees for those backups. We'll just start the monthly billing for the space that you need for those, and we'll get it rolling for you. If you're not a client of us, then we'll do a free assessment for you to check your backup statuses that you have. Whether you have an IT company, IT person, whatever, we'll look into it and see what it is and give you some suggestions and how to move forward with that stuff. So, um, the other part of that is, we did talk about disaster, and I mentioned it, the flooding and everything that come through here in our area through Tennessee and North Carolina and all the surrounding areas. There's still a lot of that going on and a lot of recovery effort going on, and will be for a long time. So we've had a lot of our friends, family, and clients ask how to be involved because they saw that some of us were volunteering and donating different places. So for our area and the surrounding area that reaches out into North Carolina, Tennessee, um, Bristol Motor Speedway got together with the disaster relief main organization in the area, and they're handling all of it. So they are today's actually the last day to donate to them. So they're cutting off donations for right now as far as them. They're filled to the brim. But they are still seeking volunteers and a lot of people to volunteer. So if that's something you wish to do, very long URL that we have in there. I'm going to throw it in chat too, so everybody will be able to see that. But that is where you can go to sign up. They have schedules, how long the shifts are, stuff like that, what kind of things you can actually do for that. Or if that's too long to remember to just web search BMS disaster relief sign up. The Bristol Motor Speedway link will be the very first one that you'll see there. You can sign up and do whatever you need to do on that. So as far as Tech Eagles, like I said, us personally, we've signed up, we've helped out in different areas and stuff like that. If you know anybody that's affected and just needs some general tech advice, absolutely, we're on the phone. We'll absolutely help steer you in the right way or whatever we need to do, or can do anything for you all that way. So, other than that, that's about all we got for a spooky, scary time. I hope Peter's not too scared today. He kind of looks a little bright-eyed right now. I don't know what's going on. So,
Thank you, TJ.
yeah, you got any
Yeah,
lasting words for us?
well, it is a scary world, and sometimes we think just because we can't see something doesn't mean it's there. But the ghosts in your IT closet could take your business if you're not careful.
Yep, I agree with that. Especially sometimes you know your computer's making that weird like clicking noise or something like that. Don't ignore that. Call us. That means something's either in your computer physically or it's about to blow up. And that could be bad. No, it won't blow up. Hope it won't. So, but anyhow, once again, if anybody's got any questions, you're more than welcome to leave a comment on the video. We'll see it and reach out to you, or just give us a call. But until our next one, thanks everybody for showing up and listening to me yap and tell some dumb stories with hopefully some good morals and ideals. But other than that, hope you all have a great day. See you next time.
Thanks, everyone.